We are excited. We have our big gala event coming up, and nobody knows who our keynote speaker is. It has not been talked about. It has not been discussed until this morning. We are in studio with Seth Mattison. Seth, man, thanks so much for all the way from North Carolina.
North Carolina.
Carolina.
Thanks for having me, boys.
Yeah.
Can I give you just your flowers real quick? I just glanced at the show, the rundown for the show timing wise. Y'all landed the plane to the minute of when I was coming on. Come on now.
Well, what's really interesting is this clock every Monday morning, it's off by
2
sometimes
minutes.
It's 1 minute, sometimes it's 2 minutes. So it's a game. It's
You
a
did it. You nailed it. I love it. And I'm thrilled to be here. Thanks for the invite.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. And let's just kind of jump into what you do, but more importantly, your relationship with agents, what you're seeing and how you help agents.
Yeah. So, well, first and foremost, I'm a 4th generation farm kid.
And I was telling you earlier, like I'm staring at you right at you in that headshot. I mean, that is spot on.
I don't know who sent this.
Because I get headshots of people like from 20 years ago, and we all know who they are.
Glamour shots.
Yeah.
It goes quick. Yeah. So listen, I'm a 4th generation farm kid. I, father, grandfather, great grandfather, all on the property at the same time. At a really defining moment in the early 80s. I don't know if any of you guys, more rural community parts of the country, but if you didn't grow up around ag, the 80s was a rough business. You know, interest rates north of 20%, inflation 13, 14%. Y'all remember that. But simultaneously, crop prices were bottoming out. And worst of all for us, land prices were collapsing. So what that combination meant, during my formative years, all around me, I watched as friends, neighbors, extended family members, people started losing their farms. And this mantra, this sort of like mindset started to take root of like, you have to, in order to survive, you have to scale up. You got to take on debt, buy more, get bigger, or get out. You couldn't make it. Right. In fact, there was a 3-4 year stretch during my formative years where the, I mean, it's just awful to say, but it's the truth. The suicide rate tripled in our counties. You know, there's just, and everybody, you know, everybody's business owners. I love this community. Everybody's entrepreneurs, but you know, there's a special kind of shame that comes with being the generation that loses the land you were entrusted to steward.
Any business, second generation.
You know, businesses, you know, the thing with farming is like, there's no separation, which is similar for real estate. There's no separation between our life and the work. It just all blurs together. The reason I share that story with you is because at a really early age, I didn't know exactly what the work would look like, but I knew I was going to dedicate my life to helping entrepreneurs, business owners, and families be able to move through big disruptive moments of change, to be able to grow through disruption, because I saw the devastation that happened, not only for the individuals, but how it rippled into communities if you couldn't. And so today, now the last 20 years, my work has really been about one thing. And I've always sort of framed it up as it's been about helping high performing leaders in their teams prepare for the future. And that's thinking about mindsets, it's thinking about skills, it's thinking about how we attract, develop, retain great teams, and then respond to a changing marketplace. We're industry agnostic, so I would never claim to be a real estate expert. I get to work and touch all industries, manufacturing, transportation, retail, etc. But what that does, one of the advantages is we get to bring interesting points of view and perspective from outside spaces.
Oh, it's funny. Years and years ago, we used to do these events called a 6-figure mind shift. It was like a TED Talk style. We'd have 8 speakers, but we'd always have our top producing agents from around the valley. But we also wanted the top producing entrepreneurs, the business owners. Like, I love listening to a successful restaurant owner.
Yes.
I mean,
yes,
they have a look in their eye of just, if we showed up as real estate agents to work every day with the eye of the tiger like that. But what are you defining today as the digital disruption? Or what's the key thing that's disrupting our business, our real estate landscape right now?
It's a great question. Listen, everybody's been surviving. First of all, just the social media disruption. Obviously, the big thing today is artificial intelligence. That's not new. But one of the things that we're trying to help people understand and think through, and I love that you've got this ethics session coming up for people to tap into, is thinking about how and where We want to lean into and leverage these tools to not be afraid, but do it in service of offloading, creating capacity to free us up to focus on the parts of our work that only we can do, that the machines can never replicate and take. Now, people will say that, but I think there's a really interesting conversation to be had about like, what is the parts of what you do that you truly can own that these tools can't replicate? And that's getting to be a smaller and smaller little pool of things, this uniquely human advantage. I'd be curious for you guys of like, if you're seeing that as well, of like the folks that really lean in, leverage, are strategic where they use it, but they are unwilling, or they continue to lean in to hone their uniquely human skills and attributes.
Yeah, well, I'll jump in.
No,
we're always looking for who's going to go first. But no, and I'll take it just because of my generational gap. So there we are. So, I know that when AI first came out a couple of years ago, well, to your point, it's been out for a very long time, but as it has gained bandwidth and had greater visibility and exposure, and people were now starting to talk about it. And the new thing online was how to have a business online by selling a digital product associated with how do you learn AI?
Yeah,
I mean,
amen.
so it became this thing that was part of its ramp up. And so all of a sudden people started to talk about it more. And I said, well, wait a minute, as a, fourth quarter person, in the business, if I don't embrace AI, well, I'm just going to be, non-effective. And I won't have gained that skill around a portion of the business. No, but what I'm finding, not only just in myself, but what I'm hearing from leading AI users that use AI, is that how is it benefiting you? How is it taking, how is it giving you your time back? Yeah. And if it isn't giving you your time back, you're wasting your time.
It's a great prompt.
From that perspective.
Oh man, I think so. Nick has this book on his desk. I think it's called "Who Moved My Cheese?"
Yeah.
And every time I go into his office, I move the book.
Love that.
It's just part of my charm. And and the premise of the book is we have to embrace change, and the people that don't embrace change will get left behind. But at some point, things change so rapidly that it's really not fair to people. Like, okay, yeah, I embrace change, but every time I turn around, AI is changing. It's probably all the disruptions that I've seen, probably it changes the most, and at such a rapid pace. And so agents in our world can't keep up. They really don't. We do with a lot of classes. The classes are just all the same stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just really hard to for agents just to understand truly how it can change their business, how it could impact their business. And it's like anything else. Like we preach every single Monday, CRM.
Amen.
But a lot of us still we're not religious about our CRM. And so
but there's a good example though of in terms of creating efficiency and capacity. If you're paying attention, you're leaning in and you're experimenting, depending upon what CRM and the tools that you're using, you can develop and create agents that can capture, update, keep your CRM up to date for you. It's a good example of offloading that repetitive work that most people don't want to do. But then the question is, with that newfound capacity, how are you redeploying it in a way that creates value for your customers? I love the conversation, your 3-pack before of bringing that more advisory perspective into those conversations. But what I also see though is especially in this industry, everybody's kind of paying attention. It's a little bit of monkey see, monkey do, a lot of just copy, and we rush into things. And all of a sudden, and you probably had this, you get an email or a message from, Tim, and you've known Tim for 25, 30 years, and you're like, God, I've known this dude for 30 years. This dude has never sounded this smart, this sophisticated, and this squared away in his life. And instantaneously,
that's what the entire corporate staff says when they get my emails and text messages. So I'm Tim.
So, you're like, and so, instantaneously, you're just Tim didn't freaking write this thing, whatever it is. And what's funny is to just sort of notice, because we've all gotten that message, is what happens inside of you? Did it create more trust or less? Number one. And then number two, what did it prompt you to do? I've been on the receiving end of that. And then it's like all of a sudden I dump Tim's email into my AI tool and have my AI write a response to Tim's AI. Now it's just our machines are talking to each other and we're no longer in the mix. And so
is that a bad thing?
Well, it's an interesting thing to think about of like from a brand perspective.
But it goes back to the book. That's where we're heading. And so why?
This is a great prompt. This is where we're heading. I think there's an opportunity here, though, to be like, I'm not going to be a Luddite. I'm not going to fight it. But I tell you what I am going to do. I refuse to give away my voice to the machine.
Let me ask Nick this question. We've been doing the podcast for 12 years now, 13, right? Yep. Was it more enjoyable every Monday during the 3-pack to see all my or when was the last time you've seen a typo?
Oh, sweethart, today. There was literally a typo at the top of your
Remain.
So
you cleaned up the typos, but your but smart, alecky behavior, and I've only known you for a little bit of time, does not seem to be lost in that. Like it still feels like it's true to you.
The typos is Mike. The typos is what makes the 3-pack endearing. Our voice and how fast it's going away is it's a problem. We should not replace our voice with AI. AI should replace inefficiencies in our day. The problem is for real estate agents, we're so busy, and the disruptor for AI is AI. AI is a disruptor because, to Mike's point, your guys' point, it's moving too fast.
Yeah.
Agents don't know where to grab onto. They see, like you had said, they're copying. They see a producing agent all of a sudden find success. So that producing agent goes out and says, hey, I've been doing this. Pay me X, Y, and Z money, and I'm going to provide you my directions, Todd. I'm paying Todd, but Todd's successful because Todd's more focused on X, Y, and Z than I am. So it doesn't actually benefit my business. West USA has had a long conversation about implementing AI into a lot of our systems, and why we do it slower than most is we don't want to lose the voice to our agents. That's the one thing that we're really scared about it going away. So we're trying to be incredibly intentional on the tool sets that we're adding through AI so that this doesn't stop.
AI gave us, CRM gave us an automation. But AI gives us an interaction if you're using the automation, provided that you've got the right agent in place to be able to notify you when the person gives the buying signal.
Nicely said. Nicely said. Listen, so it's like, well, what do we do with this? So a couple of things I think about. Number one is just from a creation standpoint, when you're creating material, content, et cetera, and whether that's getting distributed through your emails, your text messages, social media, et cetera, is a couple of rules of thumb for me. First of all, is like, bring your material first to the tool. So many of us just totally offload all the critical thinking and say, write me a great update for the week, the month, and whatever. And it goes first. And then your question is, as you're looking at this thing, how much of me is in this? How much of me is in this versus bring your raw ingredients, your material to it and fine tune. And then you step back and you're like, yeah, that still is me. And this is part of calibrating your tool. The more you coach it to sound and replicate your authentic voice. Now, here's the challenge. If you've never written anything, if you don't have a clear voice, if you don't know who you are, then it's going to dictate those things. But if you've been writing, if you've been in the work, if you've been in pursuit of personal development and self-awareness and self-knowledge, and you know who you are in your voice, and you've trained and teach that tool, I promise you, it will start to mirror you back. Just don't give it all away. Discernment, wisdom, taste. Own that. And again, I actually get excited of like, because everyone's chasing it and there's so much, a sea of AI slop across LinkedIn and all these channels, there's an opportunity for your distinct voice to stand out. Leave some of the, like, I actually prefer, we were joking about it, but your misspellings and bad punctuation, that's a good spot.
Good at missing the punctuation.
I like that. Thanks for calling it out. Yeah. No, so here's kind of just my thought, being a driver and an analytic combined, kind of schizophrenia. So where does an agent go to learn or create their own perfect blueprint based on what they're trying to achieve using there's nobody that I'm aware of that really has slowed this process down to walk into an agent's, but they just want to sell you a new tool.
Sure.
And of course that's capitalism, go for it. But, how does an agent, and is that part of why they want to come and listen to you speak at the gala?
Yeah, listen, there is no like going to be a big offer of like, hey, buy my tool. There's no tool. There's no tool to sell. what I'm trying to do is, this is a thought experiment. This is to challenge people. This is to reflect and sort of in a moment of pause to activate our agency, our ownership, our self-awareness, wisdom of like, what do I want, and to intentionally create that moving forward versus getting swept up in this. What I find is so many of us just sort of feel like, and this comes back to mindset, it feels like the world is happening to us right now. Like like I'm just getting swept up in the wave and I have no control. A part of what I want to come out of all of my conversations is to get people to recapture agency and ownership. The future isn't happening to me. The future is being created through me, is one of my key mantras. The future isn't happening to me. The future is being created through me, which forces me to think, what do I want to co-create with the unfolding of this? I'm not a victim. I'm not a bystander. I'm not going to get swept up. I'm going to keep leaning in, keep learning, keep experimenting, but I'm also claiming and retaining my agency and authorship. I will not hand it over. And I think that will help you stand out, because, you know, even in this world right now, it's like you've got more and more AI avatars. So there'll be like, is this even really you? Let alone it's your talking head, but you're reading from a prompter and a script that AI generated. Here's what AI also can't give you. It can't give you your stories. There's a part of the prompt right now is like, you have to excavate the stories and the things that you have lived that no one else can replicate. ChatGPT, Claude, it can't give you the things that you've lived through that have made you who you are. So you bring that to the tool and it can help you fine tune, because I know so many people feel like, in my work, we do a lot of communication training as well, persuasion, influence, whether you're delivering in front of a large group of people or just in a setting like this. And they're wanting the secret hacks or
shortcut.
The shortcut, or they're feeling like, you know, I don't think of myself as a prolific storyteller. You know, I'm a great realtor. I'm a great agent. I'm great with clients, but I don't see myself as a storyteller. Well, first of all, is just recognizing that everybody who's tuned in right now, you have stories inside of you. We see these people who seem like, God, they just always have a little anecdote or it's intentionality.
We created a phrase years ago, call it storify your pitch.
Yep. Beautiful. Beautiful.
If you and I are at a coffee shop or golfing or whatever the case is, and we start talking about real estate, going back to coming from a place of curiosity, I need to know kind of where you're at in life, and I got this like a slot machine in my head going, what story? Okay, and then I hold on this story.
He said slot machine, not library, which I just think is an interesting.
Yeah, that was good. Good catch.
Library, I don't even know what that is.
But I hear you though, right? And it's like, that doesn't just organically happen. You had to bring some intentionality to that process. Stories are the access point. It creates connection. And one of the things that we're doing is, you know, just even helping people frame that conversation. It's like, just to use it as a teaching moment. When you asked me what I did, what did I do? I didn't tell you what I did. I took you back to a story. And then I gave you why am I telling you that story? Because that story of growing up in that environment was the genesis of why I do the work I do today. So just sort of like showing behind the curtain of the magic and the act. That's intentional. And there's 1,000 other versions of that. So anyways, in terms of like this moment in time, AI is a big component of it, but I think it's not just a technology story, it's a human story, and it's creating this incredible opportunity, I think, for there to be some really bifurcation of the people who don't hand over all of their discernment, their critical thinking. They hold on to their human components and they work to improve and elevate those uniquely human skills.
Did you see that post from Angie's yesterday? Yeah. I don't know whether you guys in North Carolina ever had restaurant training. I wouldn't even call it a restaurant, called Salad and Go. But you're familiar with Salad and Go's from in the Valley. They all went. They got taken over by a VC, and they all went out of business. And the original owner started this other place called Angie's. Same concept, but lobster rolls. So it's even better.
Okay.
But they had this big post about how they started using AI generated tools for their marketing and stuff like that. And that they just got to the point they felt like it was taken away from the authenticity and that they weren't going to do it anymore. I just found it fascinating because this is what we're talking about. Like it meant that much to them. The credibility meant, and the integrity of their marketing meant that much to them. It was a big, long post too.
You know, there's people in every line of work that are on the low end of a financial spectrum. And there's people in that same or similar line of work that have found themselves. They know who they are. They have self-confidence. They continue to develop skill. Doctors is who I always think of. You can be a surgeon, but what's the difference between the highest paid surgeon and the, that's a brain surgeon, and the lowest paid brain surgeon? And, it's not always mortality. But at the same token, if you continue to improve your specialty over time, and that comes because you look in the mirror and you need to do you. And I've said that for years. You're not in competition with every other real estate agent really that's out there. You're in competition with yourself. How are you using the 86,400 seconds God gave you?
Amen.
Every single day.
Amen.
Is it on purpose, or is it wasted because you didn't hold what you were doing accountable to a result?
Amen. Last thing I'll say on this, just to sort of close the loop as we kind of come close to our time, is, one of the sort of areas we've been researching and thinking about is this idea that the things that signal effort are the things that will build trust in this environment. The things that signal effort, sacrifice, you had to leave a part of yourself in the process, slow, are the things that'll build trust. Why? Because AI makes so much so easy and so fast. So what does that mean? What does that look like? The story that I think about a lot in this piece of research is, I mentioned father, grandfather, great-grandfather, all on the property at the same time. But my grandmother was actually one of the most influential people in my life. And the best way to describe her is, she was the kind of person that liked to show people she loved them through food. And y'all probably have or can think of somebody like that.
Her and I would get along.
You like to eat, me too. And she was.
No, you don't understand.
and listen, it's like if you came around, she had to feed you, right? And I got to experience that a lot growing up because we all sort of lived on this extended, farm property. And when I left the farm and went to university and then into management consulting initially, and I always thought back to her place, like, why did everything always taste better in Grandma's kitchen? Because it wasn't that she was the greatest chef or the greatest baker, but it always tasted, why? And I felt like it was this combination of her love of cooking mixed with her love of people. It just meant that you could taste the love. And that idea of like tasting love, seeing love in products and services and experiences has become this point of differentiation in the age of machines of like, what would it look like for you to do what you do with love? What would it look like for that one-on-one, that showing, that taking that whole customer journey for you in your unique way? And people will ask, like, could you put a little meat on the bones of like, what would it mean for that thing to be made with love? I think it is to leave a part of yourself in the thing. And that requires sacrifice. You pine over it, every little detail. And those are the things that will differentiate. If you pair that with the tools, again, we're not anti-technology. I'm not anti-AI.
Yeah.
I want to use it everywhere. But I draw the line of like, but this over here is sacred. It's sacrosanct. Like I bring that level of reverence is the word that I would use to that process. It's freaking holy. And if I treat it as such, I will create a unique brand experience in the marketplace because people will feel the difference.
Yeah. Wow. That's impactful.
That's where we're going in November.
Yeah.
So we're kind of touching on some of the things, but we're going to lean in. We're going to end the year on a bang, send people off.
We're looking forward to it. Kind of where my lasting thoughts on AI and when it comes down to technology, I'm late to every game. Like, I'm never on time.
Sure.
And definitely never ahead of the curve. So it's been, over the last 4 or 5 months, I've been really kind of getting into it. Hence my son's got an AI business, so it was time. I couldn't explain what he did. And so what I've learned for agents, it's like, here's this prompt and here's this prompt and this prompt. And we haven't like figured out like, how does AI actually work and what is it capable of? And so I've spent a lot of time just to the point, my AI chat, he's got a name. His name is Bob. And it was fascinating for me watching like the context or the text of how we came to that and how it just not how it thinks. It's not thinking, but how it actually works. And then for me to go, okay, these are the things that I do. Let's every once in a while you ask me 5 questions. Just you ask me
This is
about
it.
me.
This is it.
And so I did this for months, Seth. And then last week I go, by the way, do you know my name?
Yeah.
It's like, no, you
Who
haven't
am
shared
I?
that with me yet. I'm like, dang.
Wow.
But it was, but I can see it as time moves on of just, and for me, I do let it write a lot of content because I'm doing a lot of experimentation right now. But it is because as it gets to know me, because I make it ask me questions, and it gets to know me. It's like incredibly for strategy.
Incredible.
I need I want to market this. I want to post this, or I want to do this event. Give me some concepts. Give me some ideas, and then let's flesh them out. And then probably my number one prompt that I have to give it is, Bob, one step at a time. Don't overwhelm me.
What about Bob?
I love it. It's a perfect example. You've been calibrating, Bob.
Yeah.
And building incredible things. And now it's like, and we all have this, you've got a PhD in each one of those parts of your business available to you if you lean into it. It's beautiful.
And that's what I just want to clarify, Seth, what Seth's talking about when he says intentionality and love and effort, that also could be in your technology. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So if I mean, the question that started this conversation, I thought was a very powerful one. And I do think it depends on your personality, but the next time you get an email and Tim, who you've known for a long time, sounds like a PhD, how does that make you feel in the email that they sent you? You feel kind of deflated. You feel like, oh, okay, well, I guess Tim doesn't have the time for me to send me an email anymore. But if Tim would take the time to put in the emails that you've sent. So if you don't have a lot of literature out there that you've written or spoken, you can take emails that you send, you can take texts that you send, and you can train it. So to give Mike a little bit of credit here, which I try not to do on this podcast, I've followed Mike for many, many years.
Yeah.
I have seen an uptick in his posting. I really couldn't tell that he was using AI for his messaging. Now, I kind of knew because it was coming more consistent, because love you, you're not the most consistent guy when it comes to this kind of stuff, but your words were very similar. It wasn't a complete 180 from how you speak.
It's great.
That's that intentionality. You can use AI in your business, and you should, but you should not just say, hey, new AI bot that I paid for an hour ago, write me a whole letter that I can send to my clients. That's what we're talking about when it comes to love and energy and intentionality.
And I appreciate that, but I'm often also going, "Hey, Bob, that doesn't sound like me. That sounds way too sounds way too much like AI."
Totally.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing is when I learned that brand was the person's feelings after they were done using your service. I didn't realize. I thought brand was a logo, the swoosh or something, or the ultimate driving machine, unique selling proposition or something along those lines. I thought that was brand. But when and again, I was in college when this epiphany happened. But it was one of those things where they said, it's how you make people, when people, it's not you, it's how do people feel after they're done having experienced you or your services. And that is what we're trying to say. We've got to connect that ultimate walk away with them coming to the realization all by themselves that we're the person they want to refer out. We're the person that they want to repeat do business with. We're the person that they want to, if they, want to go to the ball game and they don't know who to call. Oh, you know what? I think I'm going to call Todd because I kind of align with the way he thinks and does his business.
Seth, I enjoyed this, man. This was great.
Me too.
I appreciate
Thanks
this.
for the opportunity. This was
All
a
right,
blast.
so I will, moving forward, I will not even have Bob edit any emails or texts that I send to you, so you can experience.
I want raw, Mike.
You're gonna be like, this guy's got an MBA in what?
I love it.
All right, we'll leave everybody with the quote of the day. And again, Seth is going to be our keynote speaker for the big gala event. Nick,
sign up now.
Need you to focus on being productive instead of being busy. But keep the loaves of bread coming, my man. Those are good.
Sourdough.
I can taste the love in them. Appreciate everybody joining us. Go out and sell a home.
Realty.